Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Daniel, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you can work with your JavaScript. So I'll be doing different JavaScript projects which is going to get you started with your programming career as a web developer, right? So the first off is going to be this background changer. Automatically change the background in every 1 second. The second is this show password and hide password. So when whatever you put in here, when you click on this icon, it shows the password and also hides the password when you toggle that particular button. The next project would be this random password generator. So you click on this generate password button and it automatically generates a random password for you, comprising or consisting of symbols, uppercase letters, lowercase letters, and other combinations of whatever values you have there. The fourth project would be this drag and drop. So when I hold on any of my div or image, I can easily drag it or take it to the next button, and when I leave the mouse, the button or the image rather is dropped into that particular container. The last project will be this beautiful calculator, which is going to wow you because the lines to produce or complete this project is just something very simple, and any web developer would be able to follow along. Having said that, let's dive into our Visual Studio Code and begin our project. So I'm just going to keep this sideways and I'll open my Visual Studio Code, which is going to be my IDE. Now for this particular project, for every project, I'm going to leave a link or general link to a folder which you can access all the subfolders that will give you all the resources for each of these projects, and also the complete code that I use to complete these projects, right? So you can look that and make that your reference, and you have everything in your hand to complete whatever you need. So like I said, the first step is going to be this auto background, and to do that I already have my index.html open. Now if I right click into my Visual Studio Code and open this, I only have a red background, which is the red background I specified in my CSS. I wouldn't be working with any of this CSS, neither the index.html, rather our concern would be focused in my JavaScript. So in this JavaScript I have an array named colors, which has a list of items that can make up a reasonable hex color value, right? So the next thing I want to do is to create a JavaScript function that is going to automatically create that hex color value for me, which I'm going to use to automatically change the background of my page at every 1 second, right? So now to do that, I'll first have to link or get my body element. So I'm just gonna say let's body el, that's body element, equals document.body. Now this automatically gets the body for me, right? So I'll just put a semicolon there. So if I say body.style, now this gives me access to my CSS styling properties, so I can access any CSS property using the style method from my JavaScript. At least I'm using this style method from my JavaScript when I'm working with a JavaScript object, right? For example, a JavaScript element object. So every element in my index.html is an object to be referenced with in the JavaScript document. I don't know if I made sense there, but let's just continue. So if I say body el.style.background, the background is equal to, now this is going to contain a string. So if I say blue and save this, I should have the color change to blue. Now that we already know how we can automatically change the color, is just left for us to create that random color, hex color, using JavaScript function. So I'm just gonna say function that create function will be create random function that create random color. I'll have a for loop. Now I is equal to 0, I is less than 6. Since I need 6 items and I know that my I will be starting from 0, so less than 5 would be my sixth item, right? So I is less than 0, and then I would increment itself at every interval. Now I want my random, so I need a random variable which will contain my random values. So random would be equal to math.floor. So the math.floor is a JavaScript method that automatically removes the decimal places of a whole number, right? So in case the number is like 1.7000, it takes away all those numbers after the decimal point and just return the whole number, right? So math.floor, without approximating it, there is no approximation in doing that. So math.floor, then that's a method. Now I need a random number. So random number in JavaScript is always between 0 and 1, never 0 and never 1. So what I'm gonna say is going to be math.random. Now this is a method, so math.random, which is going to give me a number between 0 and 1. But if I multiply that number by any number, say 10, that would basically give me a number between 0 and 9.99, and never always 10, and also never always 0. So it means that I actually have a number between 0 and 9, which is what I want. Now the interesting thing is I don't really have to specify the real value here. I'll be specifying the value in relation to my color length. So colors.length. This is going to give me a random number between 0 and the total length of my color array. So if I console.log this out, you'll see for yourself. But without doing that, I just want to complete the whole course since I have a lot to talk about. Next thing I want to do is to generate that random hex value, and to do that I need to say let hex color equal let hex color, okay, I think this one will go out, hex color equal a string that only has an hash. Now here I'm just gonna come back and I'll say hex color is equal to my random number, right? So this is going to automatically be adding one letter, one item from my color.array. And to really put that well, I'm just gonna say colors, and then I need any item, sorry, this would be random, any item that would be the value. For example, if I'm getting a 7 as the random number, then I need the value for the index value of 7, the index 7. I hope you get the check. And the next thing I just want to do now is just return my hex color, right? So if I also, let me say, sorry, just console.log out my hex color. So you just see that we are on the same path. So if I call this function now, create random button, and open my console.log, open my console here, you see I have 04. Okay, I think we have an error somewhere. So this creates the variable, this adds that variable to here. So okay, this is supposed to come out. All right, so I have my different hex color each time that function runs, right? You can see that here, right? So now the next thing I want to do is just create this part. Since we know that our code is working, it now creates another function which will be display the function, and now display color. The color function will now change the background. So this will be let's background color equals the function. So this will be create JavaScript method, create random color, and now I'll do body el.style.background. Body el.style.background is equals to background color, right? Now that should be it. Sorry, background color. So if I come here now and run this function, color changes every time I save this. So to make this automatically changes by itself, I'm going to use a JavaScript function, which comes with your JavaScript already. It's an inbuilt function and it's named setInterval. So this first takes two parameters, which the first is the function you want to run, and then the second parameter is the time in seconds, in milliseconds rather, that you want this function to keep running. So the function I want to run here is display color. I wouldn't need that parenthesis. What I will need to do is just a comma and now specify the time interval. So this will be 1000 milliseconds. So if I save this, at every 1 second the background keeps changing. So yes, this takes us to the first project as we've completed the first project. The next project we want to look at would be the hide and show password using JavaScript. I hope to catch you up in that next video. Now this is the show and hide password using JavaScript. So when I click or type anything in here and click this this show icon button or hide icon button, my password that I typed in here just displays for me to be able to see them. And if I toggle on the icon again, it just go blank. Like I said, we wouldn't be focusing on either the HTML or CSS section of this code, but I'm going to leave the whole CSS document and HTML documents in GitHub, so you can look that up. I'll leave a link to my GitHub folder in the description of this video. So now let me explain what's happening in my CSS document. I have my div of class password. I also have an input of type password, and also an ID of class of an ID which is password. Then I have an image that doesn't really have any ID or class attached to it, which I only have a source value, which is this I hide svg, which is this guy. Now in my JavaScript session, I have two variables, password icon and normal password. Now my password icon is the image, and then the normal password is this password input field here. So this is the ID that I'm targeting, which shows that I'm targeting the input. So now if I open this in my Chrome browser, whatever I do here and click on this guy, nothing works, right? So why did nothing happen is because I've not started doing or typing in my JavaScript code, which is what I just want to do right now. So first thing I'm gonna say that whenever my password icon is being clicked, so there'll be a clicked event to be listened. Now run a function. Sorry. I want to run a function. Now this function should first check if my password dot type equal to password. If the password and the type of the password, if the password type attribute, the value is equal to password, then I want to change it and make it so password.type, I want to change it to become text. So with just this code, if I save this, if I save this and type anything here, so when I click here, you'll be able to see that text, but when I click back, nothing happens. So I need to come back, and here I need to change the icon. So I'm going to say password icon dot source is equal to, now this will be a string, and this time this is the guy I want this guy, right? So show rename. I'll copy this and I'll close this back. I'll come here and I'll paste it here. So if I save this again, so when I type on anything here and click this guy, the icon changes to this show icon. So the next thing I want to do is to repeat that, and to repeat that I'll use the else. I'll say else password the type else password the type is equal to text, or is equal to password, and my password icon is equal to around height. So with just those few lines of JavaScript, I already achieved the project. I cannot really see the project's success. So if I type anything here, I toggle this, I'll be able to see or hide the password automatically. Else, sorry. Save that. Right, so like you can see, we are done with the second part of this video. Now let's move into the third part, which would be a password generator. Hi, and this is the third part of this project, password generator. So when you click on your generate password, it automatically generates random password for you, and then you have this copy icon. So when you click on that, select the password plus copied, allows you to copy that password to your keyboard and just paste it anywhere you want to paste it. So we're going to work with this, and we believe this is going to be very easy for you to take. In our index.html, we have this input with a class of password, and I also have another div with a class of copy. Now this div with a class of copy is this copy icon guy, which I use my div to construct. Like I said, I'm going to leave the link so you have all the source code that you'll be able to make your reference to, and also see how I did that using CSS. Since this project is directed towards our JavaScript, and we are only going to focus on the JavaScript part. Now I also have a button here which has a class of button btn, and is what when we click on, we will be able to copy that password, also generate a random password. So let's go into our JavaScript and see what we have. In this JavaScript, you have three variables: password box, generate password button, and also copy button. So if I uncomment these three guys and now edit these guys to generate password, btn, and even this guy as well. I think that's all. So if I save this and save this, come here, open my lifesaver, and this guy I'll need to open my console, and if I go to the console, I should be able to see those three variables, right? Using console, I'm able to see those three variables. The next thing I want to do is to start creating my function. I'm still comment this out, and for the function, I'll call this function generate random password. Random. This function is going to work with all these guys here. So I'm going to say up. So I have let's equal to string. Now this password is going to be minimum of, let's say, 8 characters or 12 characters, I'll use 12. So I'll say password and not be less than 12, right? Password cannot be less than 12 characters. What I want to do is just say password plus equal to, so I'll generate a random value from my uppercase, my lowercase, my numbers, and my symbol from these from all these guys. Now to do that, I'll have uppercase case dot, sorry, to do that I'll say that floor. Now I'll have math dot random. Now I'll multiply this by the length of this of uppercase, the length. That'll give me a random number between 0 and the highest possible or the highest index number or the last index number of my uppercase. So since I need the value and not just that random number, I'll say uppercase. I'll put this here. So if I right, yeah, if I console or log this out, when I run this function, I should be able to see random values from my uppercase. That still did not work. Okay. Password is equal to, okay, so I keep saving that, I'll have different values from my uppercase. So now since that is working, the next thing I want to do, I'll just remove all these guys, is to repeat this 4 times. So 3 more times, 1, 2, 3. And now I'll just change these guys. This will be lowercase. And these will be symbols. And now this would be numbers. Save that, and I'll return the log and now password. You open my inspect, I have 4 values there. So if I save that again, sorry, save this again, now I have different random guys just showing up. Let me comment this out so you since that is not up to 8, I'll still need to use a while loop here. So I'll say while password less than 12 digits, 18 rather, is less than 13, I want to do something. So here I'll create another variable. Well, say let's all characters or to lowercase, sorry, plus lowercase plus numbers symbols. So this So this all characters is a string that concatenates all the 4 variables together. So what I want to do is, since the password is less than 12, I need to have random values or random data from any index of all characters, right? So to do that, I'll just bring down this guy, paste it here, and for symbols, change that, and I'll have my all characters. So if I save this, right, I have while password is less than 13, password plus equal to all characters, and all characters the length, right? Save this. That did not work. Think, well, less than. Okay, just maybe 4. Excuse me. So here it's supposed to be all password the length is less than 13. Wow. Password the length is less than 13. Now I should have more random characters attached to it. So you can see we have random characters here, and even that we have different random characters added to it. So now what I want to do is to turn the value of my input section to that random value, right? So I'll come here and I'll say this guy password box dot value save this. All right, now you see that the value now has now turned to a random password. So that is what we want. And the next thing I want to do, I don't want to return anything. So now this guy, what I want to do next, now for my copy, I have an event listener added to it, which is this guy. So on clicking it, I want to select the password and also want it to be copied, right? So I'll save this, and when I click this guy, whatever I have here, I just click here, run that function. So what I want to do is to run this function, right? This generate password function. Now that function can only be run when I have my generate password button clicked. So what I'll do here is just say generate password button on click. I want to run a function which is random password, right? Save this and click this guy. Okay. Random password, right? Let's go again. So the value will be equals to password, and then it will allow me to click, right? So box will be selected and generate random password. Save this. Okay. I think we have an issue there. Sorry. So dot add event listener. This should be it. Alright. Now when we click here, we'll select that and we can paste it anywhere. Okay, so whenever we click here, we still have random password generated for us, so we can copy that and paste it anywhere in our code. Now let's move to the full part of this project. So now this is the fourth part of this project, which is a drag and drop using JavaScript. So when I grab on any image, I'll be able to just move that image to the next container and leave it for it to be added to that other container as if it was a child to that particular container. Now this is done using JavaScript. After which I've set each image div to a draggable set to true, which allows me, which shows or which just allow me to click and drag any image even without the JavaScript. But now the JavaScript is what would allow it, is what is going to allow it to be able to drop in the next container appropriately without any problem or any errors there. So now I have my JavaScript section here where I have all the image set to this particular variable which just targets all the image, and I have a container variable here which is for my first container, container 1, and then container 2. So the first thing I want to do is to add an event listener to my image. So I'll say images dot for. Now for each of my image I need for each of my image I need to run a function here. I'll just say image, so I'll add an event listener to it. So that add event listener is going to be a drag start event, and this will be a function, and then I'll have these guys. Sorry. First thing I want to do is drag start. So current, I have a variable here. Let current equal to e.target. Now when I have clicked on that image, right, I'll need to move that image to this other path. So I'll do the second guy. So this will be container 2, right? This will be container 2 dot add event listener, and this would be on drag over. I have a function here. E dot prevent default down. I'll still need this guy one time. This time will be drop, right? Now when it's dropped, I prevent default, and also I want it to be append, so I'll have container 2 append child, and the child I want to append would be the current, right? Now I want to set that current equal to null. So now what happens here is that when I grab any image, now I'll prevent the default, and now I'll be able to drag it. So I'll prevent the default of whatever thing that happens. That is, when I grab any image, first I create a variable that holds the particular image that I'm grabbing on, and now when I move that image over to the other container, I prevent the default without it showing that error. And now I also leave the image there into the container. I also prevent another default there, but then instead I make that particular image a child to the second container that I held it over, and now just turn the target to null, so that it just automatically disappear and just like everything just goes back to like nothing happened. So if I save that, I have an error somewhere. So I think this is it. So okay. I need to open my lifesaver so I know what I'm doing. So this is the guy. I drag this guy here. Okay. I have an image here. So drag starts, drag drop. It's my style. So come here. And this would be background. So I think I'll need to work with my CSS a little bit. So I have created that was supposed to be drop instead of drag drop, and now my CSS is not applying to this because of where my items are, which I would rearrange them before uploading it in my GitHub, so you don't have anything to worry about. Now after the first session of this particular project, everything seemed to work pretty fine, and okay, it's not going to go back until we start applying our JavaScript lines for that. And to do that, we just need to come here, all right. Now this will be container 1, add event listener. Now this will be a drag start. This will be a drag start, so this will be it. Event default, right? Prevent default, and now we need to move it to this first guy. Now this is supposed to be container 2. When we start from here and move it over to the container 1, drag start. Now we need to get the current let's current e dot target, right? And now Let's bring this down one time. Okay, yeah. And for this time we'll target the first container, and here we also target the first container. Now all we want to do is drag over, and this will be prevent defaults, so I don't want anything to happen. And now when it's dropped, I need it to append the current class, so one dot append child, then current is this. I'll be able to drag it this side as well as move it back this other. So yes, it's pretty simple, and sorry for the stress, but I hope you get the whole gist. So now we need to move to the last part of the project, which will be a calculator. Now this is the last project, which I will only explain. I have screen, which is this inputs. I have btn, all the buttons, and I have clear, this guy. I have delete, this guy. I also have auto, which is this guy. So I have clear, delete, and equal. Now for my delete function, if the screen, the value of the input section is not equal to an empty string, then I created a new variable that calls the value, all the values of this input section, say all these guys. So now that variable is created. I have another new variable b, which is an empty string. I have a for loop here that runs at the length of the total values of this input section minus 1, which means if I had 10 values here, that would be, the loop will be running for 9 times, and for every 9 times it will be adding a value from the index number of that particular time, for example 0 through 9, so leaving me with the last index value, sorry, 0 through 8, leaving me with the last index value of 9. It was 10, leaving me with the last index value of 9, like, yeah, 9. And now the screen dot value will now be equal to the b, which is now the new guy. Now when I click on this delete, I just run this function. So when I click on this guy, I just run this whole function. This is just to show that I don't want my screen dot value to exceed 17 characters. So whenever it's 17 characters, I get this alert pop out, say the screen can only contain 16 characters. So if high is equals to screen dot value, so at every time when I'm clicking the button, if the high is less than or is more than or is equal to 17 or more than, they'll just tell you that alert, this screen can only contain 16 characters. Apart from that, whatever is the value, so the e.target the dataset dot num, that's the num of my dataset, which is here. So for every button, it has a particular data attached to it, which is a num, and the value is different. So for the dataset num, now they'll be added to my screen dot value. Now this screen dot value cannot be clicked, so there's a prevent default on the screen dot value. So screen dot value, there's a prevent default there where I can't click it, is unclickable. I think it should be in this side. Screen dot value, okay. The CSS station should speak for himself. Screen pointer event none. So this is where if I uncomment this out and save, I'll be able to edit that screen. Now that it's turned on, I can do something like that, right? All these guys. What else? is just going to turn the screen value to 0, and then the equal to is where the trick happens. So if screen.value is not equal to an empty string, the screen.value is equal to an empty string, right? If the string.value is equal to an empty string, the string.value is still equal to an empty string. Else answer is equal to string.value, then screen.value is equal to eval answer, which is just going to take all the numbers here, all the values here, and now assume that it was an operation. So what I'm doing is basically 99 times 8 divided by 3 plus 6. Now it's going to take, the answer is equals to all this value. Now this answer will be gotten and will now be put into this method. This is a JavaScript method that comes with JavaScript, and now when it's put here, it treats that as an operation and just returns everything as if it was just a straightforward operation. So yes, that is how you can build your calculator from scratch using JavaScript.